Hello and welcome to the first episode of Menke Makes. I'm super excited. We're going to do one of my personal favorites, something super simple, super easy, and if you have a crock pot, you're good to go. If you don't have a crock pot, I suggest going to a store and picking up one, or like a secondhand store, and you'll probably be able to find one. Ask your parents, ask your grandma. You should be able to find one at a pretty good price. Anyone will do. But yeah, these things are amazing. You cook amazing meals in them, and you pretty much can't screw it up. So today we're gonna make some pulled chicken, one of my favorites. We're gonna do it a very simple way today. We might actually jazz it up a little bit, but nothing too complicated. And we're gonna use that pulled chicken to make some authentic Mexican tacos in our next episode of Menke Makes. So I'm super excited for this. I love some pulled chicken tacos. And so we're gonna start with the chicken today, and then next episode we're gonna do some homemade corn tortillas, as well as some beautiful pulled chicken tacos. Okay, so here's the plan, here's the strat, guys. We're gonna do something very simple. All right, so I have a poblano pepper. I've never done this one before, so we're gonna try something new today. I like to make stuff up, I like to go along, so feel free to change and do anything you want with this recipe, but I mean, you pretty much can't screw it up. So we're gonna roast the poblano pepper, right? And then we're also going to lightly roast some of the serranos, and we're going to use those in the chicken while it slow cooks for, I don't know, roughly 8 hours or so. So I like to get that roast, I like that roasted flavor, and then I might actually use some of these in after they've kind of slow cooked down in maybe like a salsa or some sort of sauce for the chicken. We'll see. But so we're gonna get right into this. Let's just get this sliced up. I'm gonna get the oven turned on, and then I'll probably turn the broiler on. I want to do this just kind of hot and fast in the oven. I don't really want to cook these too much. I just want to kind of get a little char on them. We're gonna get some oil on these bad boys too. But first, I just want to kind of cut this poblano in half. You can see they got like the seeds in there, so I just like to try and get as many seeds out as I can. There's no need to have them in there for this, for roasting it. I mean, if you can leave them in if you want to. You're probably going to end up with some seeds in your pulled chicken. Not a big deal. Not a big deal either way. This is why I also like cooking in the crock pot, mostly because it's easy. You can't really screw it up. You just kind of let time do the work for you, right? That's the beauty of it. And you can cook some really good stuff, like amazing food, like on a budget, right? We'll do an episode where we make some chili, and I'll show you how to make some chili. That's not expensive at all, and you can make it go really far. You can stretch your budget out real far with that. So I'm just gonna toss these seeds here, and then for the serrano, I think I'm just gonna roast them as is, and then I will cut them in half after they've been charred a little bit. But I actually have a little bit of an infusion I made. This is a basil and pepper, like a hot kind of pepper I was growing over the summer. This is an infusion of that with some olive oil. You can just lightly drizzle it over, or if you want to get fancy, you can use a little basting tool. If you want to stay kind of clean, you can just kind of do one of these and just kind of get it all on there. So we'll just kind of douse these, just kind of wipe these down, wipe our poblanos down, and we'll put a little salt and pepper on them. Actually, I think I'm just going to put some salt. I don't think I'm going to do pepper, because again, these are going to go right into the crock pot, so it doesn't really need to we're not like trying to serve this as a main dish or anything. But the oil and the salt, it's going to just help get a nice little char on it. So that'll be good. Hi, kid. So on these Menke Makes series, you're gonna notice my cat here and there get a little antsy and want to start getting chatty with the camera. So it's just something you got to deal with, guys. Just gotta deal with it. She's a noisy girl. All right, so we're gonna just douse this with some salt. And again, if there's any like pro chefs out there, like, what the hell is this guy doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. You're right, I don't know what I'm doing. I just like to wing it. I like to cook for fun. I don't really, I don't get too crazy with it. Maybe there's ways I could be doing stuff better, but I think my food turns out pretty good, and I enjoy it, and so that's what we do. We just we cook, we have fun. If you guys end up doing this recipe and there's a better way you find that you can do it, let me know. is all I have left for the aluminum foil. That's not good. All right, so I ran out of aluminum foil, but this will be fine. So we're just gonna kind of set these on here. This pan isn't the greatest, so I usually just cover it with aluminum foil, and it's never a problem when I cook. I don't use it for that much stuff, but this should be fine. So we got those laid out nice and dandy. So pretty much we're just gonna be doing it like this, guys, all right? I'm just gonna char this side. I'll flip these over, quick char the other side, pull them out, throw them right into the crock pot, and then we'll get to, while these are doing the charring, the broiling quick, I'll talk about our liquids and what we're gonna use to slow cook the chicken in, okay? All right, we got the oven preheated, it's about 450, and then I just turned on the broil. So I just kinda got it up to temp, and then I'm turning the broiler on, and so those are gonna char up pretty quick, which is good, that's what we want. We don't really wanna cook them too much, we just kinda wanna get a little char on it. That just kinda adds a little bit different flavor, and I like that flavor. So let's talk about our liquids. So we're gonna kind of clean up the chicken a little bit, and we just kind of want to have enough liquid in there to kind of, you know, submerge it maybe halfway. You can go full way too, and then save some of the liquid. So what I have here is a little bit of what I call like a little master stock. Now you can use you know, beef broth, chicken broth, vegetable stock. I mean, you can use whatever you want. I might add a little bit of beer to it. Basically, I have some of this leftover stock or juice that I made from a venison roast. It smells really good. It smells really like venison-y and roast-like. So we're gonna use this, and I like to kind of reuse this and save a little bit from the previous cook and use it in the next stuff, and just kind of continue the flavor profile. And so far I haven't died, so we're gonna keep rolling with it. But I'm just gonna put a little bit of it in there now, just to kind of get it starting to get warmed up. I just turned this on to high. We are gonna turn it back down to low, but I found that turning it to high, at least from the start, kind of helps just warm everything up. And if it's on low right from the get-go, it can take a little bit longer to start warming up to the right temperature. But don't overthink it. Again, you can literally just throw everything in there and hit the button. That's perfectly fine too. I just overthink things too much. So we got the liquid in there. I decided to use all of it. Why the heck not? Yeah, okay. And then also I want to add, I want this to kind of be a fatty kind of, like a good fatty, like a rich kind of buttery fatty chicken, because it's going to go in a taco. It's not just going to be kind of standalone, which if it was just by itself, it would be kind of maybe a little too greasy and too fatty, but a good fatty. So I'm going to add a little bit of butter too. This is just going to help kind of, I don't know, I just love adding butter, slow cooking it with just a little bit of butter. You know, I'm gonna go with about 2 tablespoons and save myself a sliver for some eggs. So we'll just go about 2 tablespoons. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, you can. You know, I just like to add a lot of fat. I'm trying to put on a little weight, so I tend to add quite a bit of extra fat to my meals, and you know, a lot of times it adds flavor too. But so I used to make a lot of like barbecue pulled chicken, and I used to just kind of dump barbecue sauce in the crock pot with the chicken and let it cook that way. And you can do that and it turns out pretty good. But I found that if you just kind of keep the chicken simple, like you just kind of let it cook in some like simple broth or juice with maybe a couple simple spices, it turns out a lot like less, I won't say less flavorful, but just kind of like cleaner overall. And then you can add your barbecue sauce and everything else on top of it as you see fit. But I think the chicken turns out a little bit better that way. So we're also, we got the butter, we got a little bit of the fat there. Let's add a little splash of beer for good measure. And this should cover most of the chicken that we're gonna put in here, at least a good bit of it. And if we need a little bit more, we'll top her off. Also for this, we're gonna use roughly almost 3 pounds, just under 3 pounds of chicken. It's 4 breasts. It was on sale. You don't have to get the fanciest chicken to do this either. Again, it's just gonna be slow cooked and pulled. And so that usually renders enough flavor in itself with what you're doing. We also have a lot of garlic here that I wanna use. So I wanna use quite a few bits of garlic. We'll probably do like, you know, a handful of these little cloves here. We'll break those down, and we'll just kind of throw them in whole. Actually, what I'll probably do is, you know what? We'll get crazy with it. You guys don't have to do this, but you know, if you want to add another depth to it, we'll roast the garlic in the oven since we already have it roast. So we have a little bit of char on that serrano there. It's good. Some char on that one. And I'm just gonna flip these over. I got a little heat on there to them, so that's good. Backsides will char up a lot better than the inside. And so while those serranos kind of cool off, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the stem on, but I'm going to kind of quarter them, and just so that they kind of stay intact. And then I can choose if I want to take them out later and kind of chop them up and whatnot when it's all done cooking. But they'll add like little flavor sticks essentially into there, and by cutting them open, it'll help pull out that flavor. And let's see, these are probably still going to be hot, but Menke's going to give it a go. We'll cut that open like that, and we'll just turn it, and we'll just kind of give it another slice. So we just basically have like a little fork there, little fork. Oh yeah, she's a roasting. And I'm gonna put that right in. We'll do the same on this one. These are just, be good by themselves. And I like serranos because they're like jalapenos kind of. They have more heat and they're a little bit smaller. So when you're cooking with them, it's less chopping for the same amount of heat, kind of like you know what I mean? I don't know. I like serrano. I like using serranos. Jalapenos are good too, but I prefer serranos for most of my stuff. All right. So again, this is on 500-degree broil, so I got to kind of keep an eye on it because if you forget about that, it's going to be burning really quick. But you can see we have our butter and our juice kind of in here, starting to warm up, starting to get to a decent temperature. And we'll turn it down to low here in a little bit. Let's see. And so for our spices, I think I'm going to try to keep it really simple. I like to kind of just experiment, and for all I know, this could be terrible. But I'm going to do turmeric and coriander and a little bit of caraway seed. And when I smelt them all, they smelled pretty good. So, and as long as you don't go too overboard with anything you put in there, it's not going to like taste terrible. You know, I should put a disclaimer on that. But generally speaking, if you use like simple stuff and you don't use too much of it in a crock pot, you should be all right. To me, that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to lay these directly inside here and just kind of let that soak up with everything else. And again, I've never done it this way before. This is the beauty of Menke Makes. Menke Makes. We just we experiment together and we see how it turns out, and we have fun. That's the best part. Oh, what am I doing? So I actually want to put some garlic on here. What I'm going to do is actually put a little bit of garlic, maybe a touch of water with it, just to keep it from burning. We'll put it back on this table here, and we'll just roast it. We'll just put it in the oven when it's really freaking hot. See what happens, huh? Let's do it. Boom, bada bing, bada bang, bada da boom. I'm gonna add some of the spices now. So we got a little bit of turmeric. I'm just gonna give that a little sprinkle in there. Nothing too crazy. Don't gonna go overboard. Okay, that's just gonna add a nice little bit of flavor. Let's smell this. We got a little caraway seed. Don't wanna go too nuts with that. We'll just go light. We'll go light. All right. And then a little bit of coriander. What does this smell like? We're not going to use the coriander. I like this. Just a little bit of smoked paprika. Bah, bah, bah. I put this shit in everything. I don't know why. Yeah, I think that'll be good. All right, we're going to turn that off. It should still roast while it's in there because, dang, that's getting spicy. Also, we're going to do salt and pepper. So I'm going to take a little bit of this freshly ground pepper in here. Boom, bada bing. And we're gonna put some salt in this bad boy. Okay, and we'll just kind of stir it around. Boom, bada bing, bada bang. All right, so that roasted for a few minutes. I'm not actually sure. I haven't done the roasted garlic in a while, so I'm not sure how much it actually roasted it, but I know it got hot enough to do something. So we'll set this aside for a minute, and we'll get into those once they cool down. But I'm gonna get some of this chicken washed up, and we're gonna get it prepped and get it in the crock pot. All right, now that we got the chicken all kind of just washed up, cleaned up, I'm gonna go through and trim out some of this fat, some of this extra, you know, stuff we don't want really in there. I don't really care for. If you want to leave it in, you can. It's you know, it's your chicken. You do whatever you want. Best part about doing some of this is the cats love it, because I usually like to give them bits and pieces of this, and they appreciate that. You know, you gotta take care of your furry friends, dogs, cats, whatever they may be. You gotta take care of them a little bit here. So I like to take off, I don't mind if I take off a little meat here and there sometimes, just because, you know, I know it doesn't really go to waste. So that looks pretty good to me. So yeah, so we have kind of, you know, a decent, like, just chicken breast, and we're just gonna take that and just kind of set it in nicely right next to that poblano. I'll stir up some of that butter now that this is warming up. We'll just kind of set that in there nice and cozy. And at the end of the video, I'll show you just how much my cat likes this stuff, because I cannot believe right now that she is not freaking out and screaming. Because normally whenever I pull out the meat like this, she is hollering. All right, now real quick, I'm gonna just pop this garlic out and see how it looks. It didn't turn out too bad. You can tell it's a little roasted. It's not as roasted as blah, blah, blah. It is not as roasted as I thought it might be, but that is perfectly okay. It's a little bit softer. What you can do is, and maybe I'll do another video on it, or a video on it, that you can roast garlic just right in the oven like that, and then to a point where you can just kind of smear it on bread. You know, it kind of just gets to a mush, and it's really good. All right, so as you can see here, we have this nice, just kind of it's real fatty in there. It's a real fatty broth, but that's okay. It's just all gonna kind of cook real nice. We're gonna strain out a lot of the juice, not all of it, but this will be used for some tacos. And that's the beauty of it, is it's going to be paired with some other stuff. It's not just going to be served as is, otherwise I wouldn't make it maybe this way. But this is going to be really good. So we're just going to get the lid on this bad boy, and we are going to turn this down to low. I'm going to put it on low, and I'm going to put it on for 8 hours, and we're going to check it at 8 hours.
8 hours later.
All right, so we had the chicken. It's all ready to go. I turned it off just a little bit ago. It was slow cooking for just over 8 hours, so it's probably going to fall apart pretty easily. But I'm going to pull the lid off here, give you guys a little sneak peek on what's to come. I'm going to set it out on our little tray so we can get a kind of nice look, and then I'm going to shred it in a bowl and pour some of the juices back in there. And then for the next episode, we'll do some homemade Mexican tacos. Super excited for it. So let's take a look at how the chicken looks. I haven't opened this lid up in 8 hours, so we're gonna take a peek. All right, so let's see what 8 hours of slow cooking looks like. Not too shabby, not too shabby. All right. Smells really good, looks really good. We're gonna pull this out and put it right on our tray here. All right, so we got our beautiful chicken here. You can see we still got some like really nice slow cooked pieces of garlic. Oh, it tastes really good, yummy. And then still bits of like the pepper here. So a lot of this I'm going to kind of put back in with the chicken, kind of maybe mash it up a little bit and just add it to the overall sauce. It's just all falling apart. It's been slow cooked for a long time, but this looks super good. As you can see here, we'll just kind of break this open. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's give it a taste, shall we? Yep, that's good. Oh, and it's got a little spice to it now. Yeah, from the serranos that we put in there. So it's really it's not overpowering as far as like any sort of flavors. It's really kind of, I like to call it like clean and mellow, but it's got this little like hint of spice to it, which comes from that serranos, and I love that. And it's got that depth with the other poblano in there. Oh, this is super good. So we're gonna get it into the bowl, the chicken in the bowl, and then I'm also gonna strain out some of this liquid here. All right, so I got a bowl here. I'm just gonna toss this chicken in the bowl, and then I'm gonna strain this out. I'm gonna save some of it for the next thing I cook. just to have a little bit more flavor. And then I'm gonna kind of mash up all those little bits. I'm gonna put it with the juice in here. We're gonna shred it all up and it's gonna be delicious. So let's get that done. And then what I think I'm gonna do is, so I'm just gonna put this in the fridge. This will be good for like when I cook my chili next. I'll probably use a little bit of this liquid in there just to add some flavor. So that'll last, a few days or whatever. But for this, I want to kind of just like mash some of this up a bit. So I'm just going to grab my little, I suppose I could use my wooden one. I'll wash it. We're just going to mash up this stuff in here. And it's just going to add to all the juice. I've never done this way before, but I'm going to try it out. I think this will be good. I have a good feeling here. Especially if we're going to be using it for tacos, getting these like peppers in there and this garlic in there, like mashed up a bit. I think it's going to add for a nice taco. And it's going to add to the juices and the flavor. All right, so a lot of that's mashed up. And then I'm just going to dump this basically right into our chicken. Yeah, good stuff. And we will get to shredding. So I like to usually just grab a couple forks and start pulling it apart. And it's that simple, especially when it's this tender. It's super easy to pull apart. All right, so we got our forks here, we got our chicken, and I'm just gonna start kind of pulling this apart. And you can just see how easy this just falls apart. And this is gonna make for some great pulled chicken tacos. So this is gonna be awesome. And this juice is just gonna soak up into the chicken as I do this. It's gonna just start absorbing all the juices in here. And it's gonna kind of almost marinate it a little bit too. I'll probably do tacos a little bit later today and shoot a video on it. And so this will be great to let sit in the fridge for a few hours and kind of just soak up all this flavor and these juices. And yeah, it'll make some good stuff. When I shred this, I don't go too crazy into getting it like every little tiny strand. I do try to take down these bigger chunks a bit. But I used to get like really into like trying to shred it a lot, and I found that I actually like a little bit, some chunkage in there a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So we'll just kind of toss this around, look for any big pieces like that one. And all you gotta really do is poke it and it just kind of falls apart. So this is super easy to do. This is why I love the crock pot. You just kind of chuck a bunch of stuff in there, do a little prep work, set it, forget it, and then come back and you have some delicious food. Pulled chicken is one of my favorites to do. I love this. You can see we got the peppers in there. It's already absorbing a lot of that juice. You can see the liquid's gone down a lot, and that's just because it's absorbed into the chicken. There's a big chunk there. We'll get that broken down. Yeah, we'll just keep tossing it up. Nice. This looks so good. Yum. We'll take a little piece for a taste test. That's delicious. That's delicious. All right, so as you can see, we got some beautiful pulled chicken here in our bowl. Some nice juices in there. And so normally what I'll do now is I'll just kind of put it in like a Tupperware. Since this is quite a bit, what you can do too is you can freeze it and vacuum seal it and freeze it, or just put it in some bags and like really get the air out and freeze it and then use it in a few days. That works too. But I'm gonna keep most of this fresh because we're gonna make some tacos. And I got a hungry roommate, he'll probably eat some. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned a thing or two about how to use the crock pot, or you enjoyed this recipe, let me know. I also want to hear from anybody who decided to try this out and do it their own way. Try out different peppers. If you roast them, don't roast them, do whatever you want. So again, this is one of those things where you can just kind of have the freedom to be creative. And if there's anybody out there who's a little bit afraid of cooking or doesn't know what the hell to do in the kitchen, a crock pot is a great way to get started, to learn how to just make some really good meals really easily. And there's very little room for error, so it's a great entryway into the kitchen if you want to start cooking better stuff for yourself, or even if you want to try to save some money. That's the big thing. I know myself included goes out to eat a lot more than I should, and I like to cook, so I should be cooking more. But if you're one of those people who goes out to eat all the time, spends a lot of money on on to-go food or restaurants, and you want to start cutting back and maybe saving up some money for a project or for a vacation or for something you really enjoy or you want, food's a great way to start cutting back on those costs. So things like this, you can make a lot of food for a really cheap price. I think all in all we spent I think it was under 10 bucks for sure. I had to go look at the receipt, but yeah, under 10 bucks it was, and we got tons of chicken. And then I'll show you in the next episode when we pull out the masa and make some homemade tortillas, how cheap that can be and how cheap you can make some really great tacos. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Stay hungry, eat a lot of food. I don't know, I'm trying to come up with a new slogan, but peace, love, we'll see you later. Bye. You like chicken? Yeah. Yeah. Told you liked your chicken. There you go, Sage. You want some more? Yeah, it's so good. You've been such a good girl. Jesus, slow down there, will ya? Ah, ow. Hey, easy. Easy, easy. Easy, kid. Easy, kid. Yeah, so you can see, definitely likes the chicken. Definitely likes the chicken.